Hello everyone, today I will explain about communication disorders. My name is Tanya Villanueva. What are communication disorders? Communication disorders, or CD, can affect how a person receives, sends, processes, and understands concepts. They can also weaken speech and language skills, or impair the ability to hear and understand messages. There are many types of communication disorders. Let's go to learn about them. So, what are types of CD? The first is speech disorders. The second is language disorders. The third is hearing disorders, and the last is central processing disorders. Let's talk about speech disorders. Speech disorders affect your voice. They include articulation disorder, changing or substituting words so that messages are harder to understand. Fluency disorder, speaking with an irregular rate or rhythm of speech. And the last is voice disorder, having an abnormal pitch, volume, and length of speech. The next is language disorders. Affect how you use speech or writing. They include language form disorders which affect phonology, sounds that make up language systems, morphology, structure and construction of words, syntax, how sentences are formed, language content disorders, which affect semantics, in other words, meanings of words and sentences. And the last is language function disorders, which affect pragmatics, in other words, use of socially appropriate messages. Wow, it's so interesting. The number 3 is hearing disorders, impair the ability to use speech and or language. A person with a hearing disorder can be described as deaf or hard of hearing. Deaf people cannot rely on hearing as a main source of communication. People who are hard of hearing can make only limited use of hearing when communicating. And the last, we have central processing disorders. Affect how a person analyzes and uses data in auditory signals. Who is a risk for communication disorders? Communication disorders are common in children. According to the National Institute on Deafness and Other Communication Diseases, NIDCD, 8 to 9% of young children have a speech sound disorder. This rate drops to 5% for children in the first grade. Communication disorders also are common in adults. In the United States, about 7.5 million people have problems using their voices. In addition, between 6 and 8 million people suffer with some type of language condition. Patients with brain injuries have a higher risk of getting these disorders. However, many conditions occur spontaneously. This can include the onset of aphasia, which is the inability to use or comprehend language. Up to 1 million people in the United States have this condition. What are signs that a communication disorder is affecting school performance? We have two. The first is children with communication disorders frequently perform at a poor or insufficient academic level, struggle with reading, have difficult understanding and expressing language, misunderstand social cues, avoid attending school, show poor judgment, and have difficulty with tests. The second is difficulty in learning to listen, speak, read, or write, can result from problems in language development. Problems can occur in the production, comprehension, and awareness of language at the sound, syllable, word, sentence, and the source levels. Individuals with reading and writing problems also may experience difficulties in using language strategically to communicate, think, and learn. Now, I will talk about helping students with communication disorders. I have some tips to do that. Students who have communication disorder will need special help from teachers in the regular education environments. Being able to communicate opinions and ideas verbally is one of the most important skills that the students will learn in school. When a child has a communication disorder, it can adversely impact both speech and language development, resulting in the student falling behind both socially and academically. Teachers can help by first understanding what type of communication disorder the student has. Effective teaching strategies for speech and language impairments. Students with communication disorders will most likely have a speech therapist, and in many cases that resource will be available in the classroom. Working with a speech therapist, either within the classroom or as a collaborative resource outside of school, will immensely help the regular teacher with speech and language disorders. Additionally, the following tips may be helpful in the inclusive setting. Number 1. Show understanding, patience, and acceptance. Number 2. Provide extra time to answer questions. Number 3. Encourage speech practice by having one-on-one conversations with the students about his or her interests. Number 4. Keep lectures clear, simple, pronounced, and in proper language syntax, no slang. Number 5. Make eye contact with the students while listening and speaking. It is so important. Number 6. Repeat mispronounced phrases properly as a question so it does not seem like criticism. Number 7. Never mimic a child with a speech disorder. Number 8. Don't avoid calling on children with language development problems, and particularly if the answers are to be short, maybe a couple of words. Number 9. Make sure the students speak in front of the class, answers a question, etc. at least once per day is the key. Number 10. Set up practice verbal skills sessions between pairs of students where they read aloud, work on a problem orally, or play games that encourage speech. Number 11. Do not tolerate teasing and bullying by other students. It is a great problem, and it's necessary immediately control this situation. Number 12. Do not point out communication disorders to others in the class. And the last is number 13. Keep the classroom environment relaxed and organized. These tips are the key to achieve your goals like a good teacher. It's necessary to have confidence in you and in your students. Don't forget this advice. And I have the last advice for you. When a student has a communication disorder, teachers can be immensely helpful by learning about the particular speech and language disorder affecting the student, following a few straightforward teaching strategies, and working cooperatively with the child's speech therapist, either within the classroom setting or externally. I hope this advice will be a great advice for you. Thank you, and see you next opportunity to share more information about different and important topics like this. Bye bye.